Mark.
Hey there, Wynne.
Vicki and I are so glad to see you again.
Hi,
We are,
Vicki.
we are. Hello.
It's always so fun to talk to you and all the stuff that you bring to every conversation, story and optimism and perspective, and you're so good at just tying a bow on it, bringing it full circle. So I'm hoping that you can tell us the story about your campsite in Ohanabagash.
Absolutely, yeah. So Tara loves camping, and she decided she wanted to go for her birthday in 2016. The only problem was this was a last minute idea of hers, and her birthday is in July.
Ooh,
So we didn't have any reservations. And when I'm sure you can attest to the popularity of campgrounds anywhere in the Pacific
mhm,
Northwest in the summer, and especially Mount Rainier National Park.
right.
So, that being the case, we did find a campground called Ohana Pikash and learned that they had about 40 sites that were non-reservable out of 188 total. So the Friday before her birthday, I took the day off from work, left the house at 7:30 in the morning. It was about a 2.5 hour drive from where we lived at the time in Vancouver. And the plan was to meet up with Tara later in the day. She had, I think, an eye doctor appointment that
Mm.
afternoon or something, so we couldn't go at the same time. So left bright and early. I rolled into the campground at 10 a.m. And the first thing I saw was a big old sign that said "Campground Full."
Ooh,
Ooh,
Yeah, this
ouch.
did not bode well,
yeah.
but I was hopeful that maybe it was referring to something else. Don't ask me what. So I drove around the campground, just did a loop through all the spots just to make sure that it really was full. It was. And then I drove around a second time just to really, really make sure the campground was full. And unfortunately, it was. So every single spot was taken. There was nothing open. Um, it looked like I was out of luck. So it had been a long drive. I knew I had another long drive heading back home. So I just decided to park the car and walk around the campground. And I don't know what I was hoping for, just that a spot would magically open up. I brought a camp chair just in case. Um, and sure enough, as I reached the 38th spot out of the 40 non reservable ones, even though there had been people camping there when I drove through just a few minutes earlier, it was magically empty.
Oh my goodness.
I don't
Crazy.
know how that happened, but I dropped off the folding camp chair to stake my claim, as you're supposed to do, and I raced back to my car. Yeah, that was talk
Crazy.
about
That's
luck.
that's amazing. Did you ever see the people as like as they left, or they didn't pass you in their car? Or
No, no, I don't know what happened. The thing is, after driving around twice, I just
hmm
absolutely refused to give up.
right.
I actually wrote in that blog post,
hmm
quote, I was so determined to make it happen, I tried to will a spot into existence.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Amazingly, this worked.
It is,
Yeah.
and it is amazing when that works, isn't it? It's just, and it's. I think what you just said there, a lot of it is that refusal to give up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sarah calls it stubbornness, but I don't know. It paid off for me.
Yeah.
What I like is that you did that like check, check, double check because you
Yeah.
said you saw it, you knew what it meant, campground full, but you still held on to that little bit of
hmm
opportunity or possibility. But you drove around, you said twice, but then the third time you're like, I'm gonna put boots on the ground. I'm getting
Yeah.
down into it, right? I'm gonna
Yeah.
see. So it's like
Yeah.
you committed to it, right? I'm gonna look at it another way. But you didn't just drive around the third time. You did a walk around,
hmm
right? Yeah.
Right. Like maybe I would see something on my feet that I missed behind the steering wheel of my
Right.
car. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
You know what?
Wow.
There's a recent podcast that I was listening to, and it's with a Stanford professor who's a neuroscientist. His name's Dr. James Doty, and he was talking about the science of manifestation. And he sort of had a 6-step process, and he was saying this isn't the secret. This isn't just wishing for things to fall into your life. He
Yeah.
said, you got to reclaim your ability to focus your mind. You've got to clarify what it is that you want. Number 3, you have to remove the obstacles of your mind, the things that tell you, nope, that's not going to happen. The 4th was embedding the intention into the subconscious. So, really believing. And the 5th is pursuing your goal passionately. And it seems like going through those, and let me say the 6th before I come back to that, is the 6th is letting go of the attachment to any particular outcome. But going back to number 5, pursuing your goal passionately, I think that's kind of what you did there, is that you just kept at it. You weren't going to be like, oh, this is going to, people are going to look at me if I go around twice. People aren't going to, it's not giving up.
Yeah.
Very true. That is one of the points of Dr. Doty's that definitely jumped out to me. Actually, a few of them did. I think clarifying what you truly want is the first big step. And I actually have another very recent example. In fact, this just happened last week. So we had bought tickets for a Heart and Cheap Trick concert in Milwaukee, happening August 15th. And this was back in February, so this was months ago. Anyway, the concert is on a Thursday night, so we decided to book a hotel room in Milwaukee and make it a long weekend. And then about a month ago, the concert was postponed. I don't know if you guys heard, but Ann Wilson is she's battling cancer, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's so sad. Yeah.
Yeah. So postponed indefinitely, but not canceled. So we're hoping, she recovers and she's able to resume the tour in a few months. But anyway, the problem was we had booked the hotel room through hotels.com, and because we're cheap bastards, we chose a non-refundable room. So when the concert was canceled, what I truly wanted, key point, clarifying what you truly want,
Right.
was a refund. I mean, it's simple. There was no reason for us to spend $210 on a Thursday night in Milwaukee. Don't get me wrong, we would have had a great time. It would have been a really fun date night, but a rather expensive one. And we have other trips planned this year, so it's money that we could use for other things. So then the third step in Dr. Doty's list, I think, was removing the obstacles in your mind. In this case, that meant convincing an overseas-based corporate conglomerate to make an exception to a policy they made clear is non-negotiable.
Right.
Truly, I had no idea, and I hope it's okay that I'm naming them by name, hotels.com. They were actually bought out by Expedia, which I didn't realize. And they're based, I think they have an office in Saudi Arabia and another one in the United Arab Emirates, but it's not US based, which makes it an even bigger challenge. And then the hotels.com website, they sure don't make it easy to request a refund. There's no way to contact a human being. There's no phone number. There's no email address. There's not even a mailing address. All you get is a virtual chat bot. So that's when step number 5 came into play, pursuing that goal passionately. I decided to talk to the chatbot, asked the chatbot to make an exception for me. The answer was no. So then I asked the chatbot for a corporate email address. Again, the answer was no. So it's like I'm arguing with a robot. Always fun.
Yeah.
So I was hitting brick walls left and right, kind of like your background there, Vicki. I decided to contact the hotel in Milwaukee directly, but they said they were powerless to make any changes to a reservation that was booked through a third party. So things were looking pretty bad at that point. Tara said, I don't know why you're even bothering. This is never going to work. But again, it's that stubbornness, it's that determination, it's that positive attitude. So even Googling hotels.com contact information wasn't working, but it did lead me to a website that was actually devoted to, quote, pissed off travelers, unquote,
Ooh.
who were having issues. And digging through the content on that site, I was actually able to find a secret email address for hotels.com.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Wow.
So I messaged
Wow.
them. I just kept it short and simple. I told them I wanted a refund. I said I was dealing with a family emergency that week, which is sort of true because having to pay $210 for a night out sounded pretty dire.
Right?
And I reminded them that I've been a loyal customer for years, which I have been.
Mm-hmm.
We've booked a lot of stuff through there, even though we don't
Mm-hmm.
use them anymore.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, they made an exception and gave us the refund in full.
Wow.
Wow. Wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah,
There you go.
And at that
even
point, were you dealing with, an email that went to a person who had the ability to execute that transaction, or were you believing that a bot behind the scenes was going to facilitate it? Did you trust that it was true?
I trusted that it was true. It was signed by an individual person, even though it came from
Okay.
like the generic
Mm.
customer service email account.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah, there
wow.
was a person at the other end that time. So
Wow. Way
Right.
to
yeah,
go.
yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Because so often we stop when somebody's like, "Ah, that was the policy and, they
Right.
told us no," or that's not going to ever work. I mean, those are some of the things that probably stop us more often than not is believing that it can't happen more
Yeah.
than we believe that it can.
Yeah, yep, that's exactly true. But in my case, obviously, I have such a good track record with manifesting.
Yeah.
I just didn't believe there was any such thing as truly non-refundable. The trick was just to find the human in the equation and
Right?
appeal to their sense of decency. And
Yeah.
surprisingly, they actually had one. So
Yeah.
That is
hats off to hotels.com. They did come through for us. Sent them a
mhm.
nice thank you after that. And
What
now
I
we don't
love
have to.
about it. Oh, so sorry. Go ahead.
No, now we don't have to go out next Thursday and spend $210. Plus, we had made a reservation at Dan Dan, from Top Chef, the Top Chef
Yeah.
guys restaurant in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So that would have added up. We were probably going to do something else, like go to a Brewers game. We would have
Right.
ended up spending $400 or $500. So,
Yeah. But it would have been filler stuff. Not that you
Yeah.
wouldn't have had a good
exactly.
time, right? But it would have been like, how will we occupy?
Yeah,
Mhm.
But what I was
exactly
going
our
to
point.
say
Yeah.
is, yeah, but I think, looking at Dr. Doty's list, at that first one, reclaim your power to focus. I think sometimes when you want to do battle and you want something to happen, you've got to really push some of the things aside, because what you did, to me, it sounds like you stopped thinking about the refund so much. You wanted to talk to a person, right? And you honed in on that. And it was the person who was going to take you, the rest of the way home. But you kind of got the refund stuff, as much as that was what was driving you in the beginning. It sounds like you were really focused on getting to a human, the person that could execute, right?
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. I hadn't considered that, but you're right. You can't get the refund without getting the human first. The robot
Yeah.
wasn't going to give me my money back. The robot wouldn't even give me an email number or an email address
Right.
or a phone
Wasn't
number. I'm sure
programmed.
if I had asked for one.
Right.
Right, right. But
Yeah, yeah.
that's like really good critical thinking skills in the moment, learning,
Mhm.
I think, how to
Hmm.
look for what you're really after. And for me, it's often curbing my emotions so that I don't get so angry about not getting that thing that I stop thinking about what's associated with it that might get me where I want to go.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm
Yeah.
learning from you.
Mm.
Good stuff.
As we always
Hmm.
do when Mark comes on, we
For
learn from him,
sure.
from the optimism, the storytelling.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
Oh, you're too kind. You're too kind. I have to wonder, if hotels.com doesn't figure, because we've made it so difficult to get in touch with a human, if someone has gone to this much trouble and found us and reached out to us,
Right.
then yeah, let's just give him the refund.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're rewarding his persistence. Maybe, I don't
Yes.
know.
Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
The mysterious ways of the universe. Kind of
Yeah.
hard to say how it all works out. Well, I
There
love.
was,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, there was one item in Dr. Doty's list that I'm not sure I agree with,
Say.
and I'd like to run this by you guys.
Right.
Number 6, um, the final step, because I think for manifesting to truly work, you can't let go of an attachment to any particular outcome. You have to be
Yeah.
100% committed to getting that outcome, right? Willing it into existence, remember?
Well, yes,
Yeah.
but you know what? This is my interpretation of that. Let's say
Hmm.
with the 40 spots of on the Ohanabukash campground, you were like, I want number 5. You've got to be
Okay.
okay if you get number 38 instead.
Okay.
Okay, sure,
There
that
has to
makes
be
sense.
some
Yeah.
particulars that you're going to have to give up on. That you're like going to be like, you know what, my goal, and maybe it goes to clarifying what you truly want. My goal is to take Tara camping. And what if it was a campground next door that it worked out?
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Okay.
The other thought I
Thank you
have
for
about
clarifying
that,
that. Hmm.
because I also struggle with that one, but I haven't read, so I don't
Yeah.
know. But what Wynne said was really helpful. But the other thing I thought of about the letting go, of a focus, an attachment, a fixation on any particular outcome, I think maybe part of that for you is just knowing for sure that you had looked at it every which way.
Hmm.
And if you'd done that and the outcome wasn't what you wanted, but you had the comfort in knowing that you'd, done everything that you could,
Hmm.
that maybe the outcome was just that satisfaction that you had pushed as hard as you could to make sure
Hmm.
that there was no campground, no site that was left available, right? That satisfaction. So I don't know.
I
But I
think
was also curious about your lucky number. Is it now 38? Sorry, Wynne.
No, our lucky number has always been 14.
mm,
And I've written blog posts about it. The number 14 comes up so often for Tara and I. It's amazing.
Hmm.
well, isn't
Interesting.
the concert that was canceled on the 14th?
15th.
Oh, darn.
Close.
If it was the
Close.
14th, it never would have been canceled. Come on.
Yeah.
That's our lucky number.
One more
Right.
thing about the letting go of the attachment.
Yeah.
The other day, I saw a young woman at Costco who wanted an oversized stuffed bear, and that they what did have in the warehouse, but she was talking in tears to a supervisor. She's like, "But I
Oh,
really wanted the bear," and the supervisor was trying to tell her, "You can get it online. We just don't have it
Hmm.
in the warehouse anymore." And
yeah.
she was so upset I don't know for what reason, because I was just traveling by, that she couldn't get it that day from that location or that time, or that she couldn't. She seemed to be blocked in taking the next step,
Mm.
which would be to get it another way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think, and I'm reading a lot into something that I just
Yeah.
saw briefly, but sometimes we can get so upset of, well, this is the way that I thought it was going to work out.
Oh, yeah.
When it's really, you still can have the thing, but you're just going to have to go through a few more hoops. You're going to have to do a couple more websites. It's not like somebody's going to,
Yeah.
you know, take that refund and, sew it on a magic pillow and, hand it to you. You're going to
Yeah.
have to,
Yeah.
research a little bit more.
No, I agree with you completely on that. When it comes to manifesting, the end result is what you're after. How you get there, who
Mhm.
cares?
You got to be a little
Yeah.
flexible about it.
I got my money back
Yeah,
from the hotel. Did I have to jump through a few hoops? Sure,
you
but look
sure
at all
did.
the money it's saving me,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
can't complain about that.
totally.
One of the things I love about you, Mark, is that, if you sat down to think about your investment in time to do it, you might be a little daunted, by whether or
Mhm.
not you really got the $200+ back when you think about the time that you put into it. But tell me if I'm wrong about this. One of the money is a satisfier, but also kind of persevering, and I don't want to say winning, but finding a way. It's almost like the gamification of it, trying to
Mhm.
find a pathway to do it. For you, that was also satisfying. So sometimes it's not just money, that kind of fills us up when we look at rewards and what we get as a result of our effort. Sometimes it's knowing that you were a trailblazer or you found the trail, right?
Oh, definitely, yeah. As soon as
Yeah.
I learned that we were getting our money back, I was so proud of myself. I messaged Tara. I'm like, man, I really am so good at this manifesting thing. Go me. And
Yeah.
So good.
giving myself some pats on the back for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
she
you hung in
happily ate
there.
crow. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
She said,
Yes.
I gotta hand it to you. You are a persistent,
Right.
I won't use her exact words. You're a persistent fella, but boy, did it pay off.
Right.
Yeah, persistent son of a gun, maybe. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, something along those lines.
But
Yeah.
can I also add that at the end of your post about this, you were off looking, trying to turn over the unthinkable and find a campsite. She wasn't there. She didn't know. You couldn't contact her, but she was still hopeful that you'd worked it out. So I also love that she had faith in you, that you said
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna, I'm on it, that you weren't joking. She hadn't given up, but she had no reason to be extra hopeful except Mark was on the case.
Yeah.
That's true. There was no cell service whatsoever up there. We were completely out of touch. I didn't know what time she was leaving the house. I didn't know what time to expect her. Um, as it is, she showed up about an hour and a half after I was thinking she might arrive. And by that point, all the campers around us had started their fires and they were cooking. And while I did manifest myself a campground, I didn't bring any food, so I should have manifested a cheeseburger while I was at it. I was pretty hungry at that point, and of course, she had the cooler and she had the food and she had the firewood. My job was just to get the spot. So, yeah, it was a little touch and go there, but we found each other and, we ended up having a great
Yeah.
weekend. And I think it was one of the more enjoyable birthdays that she had.
So good.
That is so good. Well, I love that we manifested this podcast episode with you.
Yes.
Thank you for saying yes.
Clever, yes. Always happy to.
Always so good to talk to you, Mark.
You
Yes.
too.
Thank you.
Thank you.